What's up, everybody? It's your boy Devon Taylor here, aka Deezus, and this is my podcast, Deezus Take the Reel. No, this is not a religious podcast. It's a podcast where we're talking movies, we're talking life, we're talking all sorts of weird and crazy shit, and we are in a very fitting setting today. We got some weird mood lights, we got some funky music in the background. This is going to be a good time live from the Bourgeois Pig in LA, in West Hollywood. I am here. It is your boy, Deezus. This is my podcast, Deezus Take the Reel. Basically, it is a late-night talk show centered around movies. We are going to play some games, we're going to talk some movies, and then we're going to tell some stories. And, of course, I have a pretty cool guest to do all of these things with. It is Mr. Coy Jandreau.
How's it going, man?
Did I get your name right? Because I didn't even check with you before we started.
No one ever gets my name right because it looks way more complicated than it is. It looks like it has 80 vowels because it does, but it's just Jandreau, like Jondro. That's how
okay.
So it looks way more complicated.
Jandreau.
That's it.
Okay.
But it looks like I get Jandreau, I get Jandreau, I get a lot.
I mean, have you seen the way my name is spelled? I get it. So
both
I'm just
my names. I have like a Star Wars name. I look like I'm in like the extended universe.
That does sound very
right?
Star Wars.
Coy Jandreau sounds like it's
very
definitely
much.
Like I'm on a planet that gets destroyed in like the third.
No, I dig it. Like I said, as a person with a unique name, I'm a fan.
Oh, it's way more fun, man.
Names.
I wasn't like John S. in high school. I didn't have to have like the last letter. You know what I mean? I like that. I had like the one.
My roommate, a regular on the show, Tyler. His name is Tyler. His name's Tyler Coleman, and he's a actor, and he thinks his name's like too basic. He's just like, man. He's like, I wish I had a more exciting name. And so now he's testing out the middle name. He's like Tyler Andrew Coleman. I'm like, that's still another basic name.
Has he heard of Will Smith? That guy's got a pretty simple name.
That's true. I'm
just saying, like, I don't know how Will Smith was like the first SAG Will Smith, but like, how did that happen? Will Smith came up in the 80s. How was there no other guy named Will Smith?
That he got super lucky.
Right? How lucky is that?
Super lucky. But okay, I want your opinion here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a debate going on in our apartment between me, Tyler, and his roommate, and his girlfriend, Reagan. I want to entertain the idea of T.A. Coleman.
Ooh.
How does that sound?
Okay, what's his type? What's he play?
He is a leading man.
T.A. Coleman.
He's 6 foot, broad shoulders, super nice hair.
Okay, nice hair.
He has like a classic like Humphrey Bogart look.
I think he should try it. I think if you got the strong enough shoulder and jawline for it, try it out.
That's what I'm saying. He's got really good facial hair too.
Yeah, I think T.A. Coleman's badass.
It would be like it would feel kind of vintage, you know? People love that shit right now.
Dude, they do. I went by Just Coy for a while, and it worked out for me. It was good. I was like Seal or Oprah or Prince.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Just go, like, originality's key, man. T.A. Coleman's more original. I like it. I'm into it.
See, I'm into it. Okay, so we got another vote for T.A. Coleman.
Yeah,
I'm going to mark it down.
It sounds good, too. It plays.
And see, that's what I'm kind of trying to do. Like, that's why I go by Deezus. Just, one word. Because people can't spell my name.
I get it. I get corrected. Do you get corrected on your name?
Oh, yeah.
When people are like, oh, Corey. I'm like, no, I said Coy. I've had this for a bit.
I go Devin.
Trust me, I got that. No.
No?
Yeah, it's exhausting.
If it was Devin, I would have said that.
I would have said that name.
But it's just like, it also doesn't look like it at all either.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. People will spell it D-E-V-O-N. And the only way I can get through to people is I'm like, oh, think Stevie Ray Vaughan. And then they're like, oh, I'm like, of course I had to compare it to some white guy from the 80s.
Constantly be talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan, though, and nobody wants that.
I don't even like Stevie Ray Vaughan. I can't name one Stevie Ray Vaughan song.
Yeah, that's a tricky implied fandom.
I work at a breakfast diner, so I talk to a lot of old people.
Oh, so it's a good pull.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I'll start dropping the Hank McCoys as needed for my audience.
Yes, for sure. Speaking of which, on your audience, so I know who you are, but the opening segment of this show is called "Who the Hell Are You?" I know who you are. I keep up with you on day to day and what you do and whatnot, but the good people might not know. So, Coy Jandreau.
Yeah, Jandreau.
Coy Jandreau. From your mouth, your words, who are you? Like, what do you do, man?
I am now a host. I used to do a lot of acting and stuff, but now hosting is taken over, and I love it. You can find me on Twitter at CoyJandreau. Same on Instagram. And I love content, man. I love movies. I love TV. I love comics. I love entertainment. I love books. I love I love the fact that we live in an age of sharing our experiences and things with people to such a level that like the internet expands that exponentially. So I like positivity, and I generally like enjoy things. So I like talking about movies. I like doing little Insta reviews that are like a minute of just what was good about things. I do a lot of like comic-y stuff online with Screen Junkies and Nerdist and Geek and Sundry, and then I host Marvel Movie News with Matt Key, and yeah, I'm kind of everywhere, but my main thing is like content and funness.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, same thing. Like, just anything that I see people writing or doing, you know, I just wanna absorb it. You know, we were talking beforehand. There's just too much movies and TVs and YouTube to
How great
just
is that?
absorb. You know, and it's great. It really is. It's like I love that I can wake up in the morning and, you know, just, you know, that's how I absorb information, you know, like before I even started doing anything creative, like before I started my YouTube channel or podcast, like my form of like studying almost, like this is what I would say to justify it, whenever I would just lay in bed for 2 hours watching YouTube
Studying.
videos. Yeah, I'm studying. I'm watching. I'm trying to see their methods and techniques. Yes. That's what I'm doing.
Well, what's interesting is like I threw an entire genre out the window, and I think that more people don't give things they don't like another chance, and I'm trying to not be like most people. I'm not big on cartoons, but I love comics, so that eliminates like so much. Like I didn't watch
That's
the
very
Justice League show. I didn't watch the last cartoon I watched was Batman Beyond, that long ago.
That's a very good.
That's a great one to
very
leave
good
on.
anime.
But like, so I'm rewatching. I just started Archer and Rick and Morty, and I'm literally trying to reopen an entire genre to myself. So I think it's important that like, if I have one piece of advice for listeners is find things you kind of don't like and try them until you kind of like them. If you still don't like them, give up. But like, I think it's important to really experience everything.
No, for sure. I would recommend, my recommendation would be get on that Teen Titans life.
Yeah.
Teen Titans is like, not even just as an animated like show, it's just a good show.
See, I want to do non-superhero first and then branch into superhero. That way I wasn't just, I don't want to be the guy that only, like, if I literally be like, what shows you watch? Superhero. What animated shows? Superhero. What movies? Superhero.
That's how I feel whenever, because the TV shows I do keep up with are, you know, all the CW shows.
Yeah.
Because, you know, keep up with the Flareoverse,
Right.
all that, all good stuff. But then I recap iZombie for one of my podcasts. So it's like,
So superhero,
I'm all CW. All CW.
It's tricky, man. It's a lot.
But yeah, so you're literally all over the place, but you're probably most well known for Marvel Movie News.
Yeah, that's every week, every Tuesday at 2:30, and then I'm one of the Movie Fight champions, so I'm at Screen Junkies a lot. I do Screen Junkies news here and there, and then Nerdist, I'm actually jumping in a lot more. I just did Mothership with them, and Geek and Sundry are homies for a long time, and I try to be everywhere. It's like it's a goal of mine to be everywhere.
But at heart, you're a Marvel boy. You love
I'm a
you love
Marvelite.
you some Marvel.
I'm a Marvelite that's trying to end the feud with DC one step at a time. I did DC movie news less than like a month ago, and I'm trying to like I don't want there to be a battle, but Marvel's where I lean because it's my home.
You know, not even in the feud aspect, because I think, you know, I try not to think of it in terms of Marvel, DC, or just, you know, it's just like if there's a character that I enjoy that I'm into,
Yeah.
then boom, that's why I'm a follow. So it's like, dude, so who's your biggest Marvel?
Oh, Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Spider-Man and Deadpool.
But basically, like, Spider-Man was my childhood. Spider-Man forever. But the problem was, just as Deadpool was getting really good, Spider-Man was getting not so good. So it was a really good time to become a Deadpool fan. But now Spider-Man's coming back, so it feels like I have both my boys back, and I didn't for a while. So I had this thing on Screen Junkies I always used to say, where you either die a Spider-Man or live long enough to see yourself become a Deadpool. So I think that you either like have this charming sense of childlike responsibility, or at some point you just start saying fuck it, and that's Deadpool. Like,
you could say that's how it is in life in LA.
That's what I mean. You just have one.
You gotta come out here, and you either gotta be a Spider-Man, you gotta be a Deadpool.
That's it. There's two options.
Spider-Man is one of my favorites. If you were in the actual Deezus Take the Reel studio, you would see all my Spider-Man memorabilia everywhere. I got all the dolls, I got the paintings, I got tablecloth, all the good stuff.
I'm 56 comics from every Spider-Man, every run ever printed.
Wow.
That's amazing, spectacular, Web of, Peter Parker, Ultimate. I'm 56 books away from every Spider-Man, and I'm 110 away from every X-Men, so I have like 17,000, 18,000 books.
I have one shelf of comics that I got into comics late, actually. I got into comics pretty late, but it was, you know, from watching people like you guys, you know, giving recommendations, like you, Jason Inman, DJ Woldridge, people like that, you know, giving comic books and like getting people back into comics.
Dude, that's great.
It's like it's great that The last Deadpool I read was a cool little one-off, Dead Presidents.
Yeah. Dude, check out The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Good, the Bad, the
It's
Ugly?
a 5-issue arc, and it shows the heart of Deadpool that a lot of like lesser writers don't give him a chance to have, and it's Deadpool, Captain America, Wolverine. It's great.
Ooh.
It's a great run.
Ooh, that's a fun one. I'm reading a Wolverine one. It's called Dangerous Games, and it's like an anthology of just like vignettes of like, you know, Wolverine just being, you know, the ultimate badass.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like him just killing people left and right.
Wolverine's always had a really good way of like having one-offs. Like a lot of the Wolverine runs even are just one-offs.
Yeah.
And there was a Savage Wolverine. Have you read? It's an 18-issue run, and it's Marvel gave every writer and artist full creative freedom, so for 3 issues at a time, they just got to do whatever they wanted. So a lot of artists got to play in the world of Wolverine without tying into continuity.
Because like that's the versatility with his character. I'm an X-Men is my biggest overall.
That's your Spider-Man?
Yeah. I mean, I love Spider-Man, but X-Men has always been my jam. My family is from Louisiana, so it's like I just marveled at Gambit and wanted to be him so bad. I went through so many decks of cards between ages 7 to 10. Lots of decks of cards were lost, me throwing them at people.
Naturally.
Oh, it was a good time.
Yeah, X-Men. X-Men's. I mean, that's the reason I collect X-Men comics. They're like a close third. It's just that Marvel hasn't handled X-Men well in a long time because of the rights, and the same with Spider-Man. I feel like because they just didn't know, and now. Coincidentally, as soon as Sony and Spider-Man are playing nice, the comics are getting good again, and I also wonder if that's why the X-Men comics are getting good again. Phase Fantastic Four,
and hopefully that means the movies
hint hint nudge nudge
doing good again. Oh man, Fant Four Stick,
it's Bad News Bears. We'll see.
I re-saw the scene, the very last scene of that movie. That terrible scene.
Don't do that to yourself.
And
life's worth living.
No, I got done. I sat through that movie one time.
Yeah,
like, I watched that.
I went to theaters, man. I saw it in theaters.
I did see it in theaters. There were 4 of us.
Yeah,
in there.
It was a tiny audience.
There were 4 of us. 2 people walked out. And then I just like, we got to the end, me and the other guy, and we just looked at each other, and he just goes, he shook his head, and I was like, I don't.
It's that bad where you just don't, there's no words. But
I was like, I don't know.
Overall, I like to say that comic movies have merit, but that one I found not much in it.
Yeah.
And there was that trick question movie fight where I had to say that was the best superhero movie of all time.
Yeah.
Man, that took a lot of creativity.
You made a case. You did make a case.
Terrifyingly.
I love those trick questions on movie fights. I think that's one.
I've gotten 3 out of 4 of them, man. I've gotten so many.
You have.
There've only been 4. I've gotten 3. Andy's just like this guy.
I'm real intrigued to see. I'm sure they're gonna have to pull it out next week. So.
Send them my best tonight. Tell them I said hello.
I will for sure. But to get into the opening game of the show, we're already on Marvel. We're talking comic book stuff. So I figured this would be fun. Are you a sports fan too, Coy?
Casually. Boston makes you have to be default somewhat of a sports fan. But
that's true.
If I was in Boston, I'd say I wasn't at all. Since I'm in LA, I'd say casual sports fan because there's levels because Boston's like zealots.
This isn't too sportsy, but we're gonna do a little draft.
All right.
We're gonna do a Marvel character draft.
Into it.
This is just for the ultimate highest stakes, the rarest stone, whatever you want to call it. This is it.
Kay.
This is the end all be all. You are building your 6-person Avengers squad.
Okay.
So we're having a civil war, but think 10 times bigger.
Got it.
Yeah. So this is. You can dig deep if you need to.
Got it.
I'm not as detailed of a fan as you are, so mine will be pretty basic. But you can get real nerdy if you'd like.
All right. So we got 6, right?
So you got 6. So who's your leader, your captain? Who's your number 1 pick?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with a tactical leader that can handle the team. But if it's a civil war, I'm going to go with a tactical leader that doesn't have a strong bias. So Cap's out, replacing him with Cyclops. Cyclops is my tactical leader. I think he's underrated. I think he is a brilliant tactician. I think he knows how to handle a team, so he's my team leader. I'm going to follow that up with another X-Men. I'm going to go with a guy that's going to get anything done, and that's Wolverine. This is a guy that's going to handle his own. He's going to... Actually, you know what? Swapping out Wolverine. It's going to be Cyclops and Deadpool, because Deadpool, I feel like, has even less... worry about doing the right thing, wrong thing, but he'll follow anyone as needed because he's a follower that can get the job done, and he cares about proving himself right. He cares about being the good guy. And then Spider-Man, because you need someone that is going to be kind of the moral compass to make sure you're on the good guys team. That's going to be all right, guys, we got these crazy wild cards. So Spider-Man, Deadpool, Cyclops. We need some power, some strong power. Let's go with Storm. I think we need, like, that's a powerhouse. We have flight there. We have all sorts of range of powers, everything else. So we got Storm in there. And then we need a psychic. Let's use right before Phoenix level Jean Grey from the Claremont era. So pre-darkness, full power, telekinetic and telekinesis. And then 6th, let's go with... Ooh, we've only got one left. There's a lot of world left. We need someone for transport. Nightcrawler. So we got power, we got brains, we got tactical, we got responsibility, we got willing to follow, we got transport.
Okay, that is a very well-rounded team. So, I don't have a captain. I say I have co-captains here because they kind of need to be for various reasons. But I'm gonna go with Wolverine.
Okay.
I got Wolverine. I need somebody that is going to do whatever is necessary. He's gonna have everybody's back. He's brute force as well, but he is also very tactical with his instincts, things of that nature. And I'd say he's also fairly unbiased. I'd say, but he does have the temper. He sometimes lacks focus. So if he lacks the motivation, rather. So then to be more the moral compass leader, I got Daredevil.
Ooh, interesting.
I got Daredevil because I think he's going to add some brains as well, but he's going to have the moral compass, but he's also going to be able to get some shit done. But obviously, he can't do everything.
Right,
right. So those are my co-leaders. Got to have the power. I'm going to go the God route. I'm going to go Thor.
All right.
Actually, I'm gonna go. I've been reading Lady Thor.
Oh yeah, she's great.
And I love
Jane Foster's killing it.
I love because they really did something with her character. She is something. She's a little bit more pure than Thor in a sense, and I think she'll definitely bring that. But I mean, she's still powerful as all get out. So I think she'll match up pretty well with Storm there. Let's see. So that's 3, and then. Man, Cyclops was a good pick because, especially what he's one of the better X-Men characters they've been writing recently. Even though they haven't been super strong, good. But to go in the X-Men route, somebody also very powerful, somebody who, his moral compass is a little bit grayed, but I think having Daredevil's gonna keep him in line as well, and he'll be one person that Jean cannot get in their head. I'm going to go Magneto.
All right, bold.
Just assuming he does have his helmet. Because, but, and I'm not even going comic book. I'm going to think, I want Fassbender Magneto just because. Just because
Fassbender.
Because Fassbender. So that I'm going Fassbender Magneto. Saying, circa Days of Future Past. No, actually First Class. He's a badass.
Yeah, I'd lean First Class.
First Class for sure. So that's 4. And then... I'm gonna go Black Panther as well. He's gonna bring some tech. He's got all the resources. He's got the money behind it. But he's got his suit. He and he's out to look out for the general interest of himself and Wakanda first. But he's still going to do what he's got to do. He makes allies and he's very well respected.
True.
So I'm gonna go Black Panther. And then for my last one...
Last one's hard.
The last one is hard. Ooh. Trying to think. Somebody maybe back in the X-Men.
We both leaned so heavy X-Men.
I know mine. I'm going to go Iceman.
Nice.
Iceman is one of the most powerful mutants out there.
Yep.
Very underrated X-Men. Very. But he also got to do some fun solo stuff as well. His adventures with Spider-Man. They're gonna be at odds a little bit, but Iceman is super powerful, super resourceful. I mean, we're talking about the world here. 75% of the world is water.
True.
So I mean, really, this whole thing kind of rests in Iceman's hands when you think about it. So that's gonna close out my team.
I like that we both went hard X-Men.
Oh yeah,
we had half X-Men teams of Avengers.
I mean, cause when you think about it, that's why another reason I'll always kind of lean a little bit Marvel versus DC. It's DC, you do have some very powerful beings and things,
Right.
but you don't have people that are like, Omega level mutants.
Well, what's interesting is I feel like DC, and this is just a matter of taste, DC is always gods that look down wanting to be people, and then Marvel's always people that look up wanting to be gods. So it's like, I think it's where your perspective is, and I think it's why you're reading comics. Are you reading comics for the escapism of feeling like a god, or of understanding how these other people work, or of thinking of these characters, or are you reading comics to be like, oh, I remember how this felt and how would this character handle it? And I think that's the two very black and white. That's the difference when I read Marvel versus when I read DC. That's always fascinating because it's not right or wrong. It's just why you're reading the book. So the Avengers has always been a cool way to see what that looks like in a team dynamic, like we just did.
That is definitely for sure. I mean, that's the fun of comic books, is going in, wanting different things. You find what you like, the runs that you like, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's just and I wish I tapped into that sooner. For sure.
You got all the time now. You started right.
I think with your team, you got to dig a little bit deeper. You even gave me the runs. You gave me what eras you were wanting, but Jean
Dude,
Grey,
I almost pulled Chamber out on you, but I was like, nah, it ain't fair.
I was like, because when you broke down which very specific Jean Grey you wanted, I was like, oh man, I was like, shit.
I could list the issues, man. Claremont 119 to 126 is when I throw that Jean Grey in there from 1973.
That's when she was like almost real volatile.
Yeah,
like
that's
before
exactly.
She was like about to just pop.
All the power pre-crack, like pre-snap, man. That's my favorite Jean Grey, when she just had a darkness.
I mean, I think that's what's going to turn the table in this fight right there.
I think that plus, I really think Nightcrawler's ability to move around is going to help. I think Cyclops as the leader is definitely something special. I think Wolverine gets blinded by rage, whereas Cyclops is always tactical. I think Daredevil's brilliant, but I think he can be overwhelmed by certain members of my team, like Storm, because he can't use his sense when Storm's just whipping up a storm. So there's a lot of.
He can be doing a lot of stuff in the background.
He certainly can.
He can be doing a lot of stuff in the background. He can be making some moves. Because I mean, Lady Thor's got enough power to hold
That'd
down
be a
the
fight.
fort,
Lady Thor and Storm be a fight.
That would be a really fun fight.
Similar power sets, similar veracity, both very regal.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta give Lady Thor the edge though with the weapon though too though.
I mean, Mjolnir is amazing, but Storm, it's in her, so I don't know, it's tricky.
It is a tricky one, and then like I said, I don't know. Iceman could be the key to this all.
I mean, Iceman's a hell of a pinch hitter for sure. He always comes out when he needs to, and that's a hell of a thing. But you also got Spider-Man, who Spider-Man is tactically brilliant and can handle those crazy barrages.
I think what happened with Iceman is if all seems lost, he's just gonna freeze the entire planet and kill everybody. Nobody wins.
That's final.
It's a stalemate. So then
poor Iceman alone on a frozen planet.
Yeah, and then Iceman to rule. He'd be Dr. Manhattan,
the abominable snowman. Iceman just like walking around moping as the last man on Earth. It's a horrible dystopian future we've created.
That'd be very sad, but that'd be a cool comic though. That'd be sweet.
The dark heart of Iceman.
Ooh.
The frozen heart of Iceman.
It'd be like Why the Last Man. But not
just snarky.
But even just with less.
With less.
With less. Yeah. So yeah, I think that would be a very fun fight. I'd watch it.
I'd read it. I'm into it.
I'd read it for sure. So that's gonna go ahead and wrap up the game. Our little Avengers death match, world-ending death match.
It apparently ends with Iceman.
Ends with the world ending. Very fitting, I'd say, for sure. But we're gonna, we are going pretty dark with the movies that we're talking about.
True.
So I mean, I think it plays. Before we get into the movies, real quick, got a few housekeeping. Guys, remember the iTunes reviews, 5-star iTunes reviews, guys. Help people find the show and also pat my ego. I like to read those when I wake up with my coffee. And do you ever do that? Do you Google yourself? I asked Jay. Do you Google yourself?
I'm a habitual Googler of myself. What's funny is
you're the first Coy Jandreau that comes up.
I Google Coy J and I come up. What's funny is a lot of people have Coy as a last name. When if you Google Coy J, sometimes it's like John Coy, like it goes the other way. But I Google, Bing, and Yahoo myself fairly often because they come up with different shit. Like there's different search engines have different versions of me. And it's really flattering because I get like, when you search the name and then it has like what other people search like right after. If you go to Google Images, it's Coy and then like my ex Coy and then Coy Body, because apparently people search me like working out, and then Coy Gay ? Is very popular, and I have a very like amazingly strong gay audience, and it's really like flattering to be a straight guy that gay guys really like. So I I really enjoy like googling it and being like, I represent everyone. And, like it's I don't know, it's very flattering when I found that.
That's the ultimate opinion. Like
right?
if you get a gay guy's approval, I mean,
if gay guys approve, it's like check. Like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I was so flattered. I was like, I did
coming
something
from
right.
the queer community myself. I can verify.
It was like
this.
very like, all right, I'm looking good. I'm working out. Like they approve. So
that's
it was
so funny. Coy Body.
Yeah, Coy Body is the most like searched image search next to just my name. So
I need to figure that out. See, I'm just not getting there because like I put everything as Deezus now, and now like I'm the first person that comes up.
That's a smart move, man.
Instead of my name, so I'm getting there. But yeah, oh yeah, where was I at? iTunes reviews. Yeah, keep doing those, guys.
we got on a tangent about bodies. It happens.
Get those iTunes reviews. I'll read them on the D's and T Money Show, and like I said, helps people find the show. So let's get up on them charts. And then secondly, of course, check out the Patreon account, patreon.com/Deezus Take the Reel. $1 a month can help make the show bigger, better. We can do all sorts of other fun things. We're going to do some giveaways. And you get some perks. You get a monthly Skype session. We get exclusive content, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So make sure you guys go check out Patreon. So now that I'm done asking for attention and money, let's go ahead and get into the bulk of the show. Let's talk some movies. So you picked Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So we're talking some neo-noirs today.
Yeah.
A little bit. So what made you pick Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
So I have a very, very tricky sense of humor. Comedy is something I generally watch once and I don't revisit. Like a lot of my comedies I see in theaters, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I had that time. Comedy that makes me rethink it, rewatch it, reappreciate it is rare. So Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, along with In Bruges, which you did for your birthday, are two comedies that I can watch constantly. And they're also two comedies I feel like don't get enough love. These are two comedies that don't get mentioned nearly as much as they should. And the type of humor in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is so smart, so articulate, so specific, and it really is a pre-Iron Man Downey Jr. So I feel like we give all this accolade to the Downey Jr. portrayal of Iron Man. The man bought islands from this Iron Man money. But before that, right before that, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was that humor. And it's just fascinating that like this movie doesn't get talked about, whereas he's buying islands off a very similar type like humor. So I just want Kiss Kiss to get like some credit. This was literally his comeback movie. This was a movie where Downey Jr. couldn't get work because he'd been fired off Ally McBeal. He'd been fired off a bunch of movies. They had to do a $1 million insurance policy that he wouldn't quit or leave the movie that, ironically enough, Mel Gibson paid. So this was when Mel Gibson was in everyone's high graces enough that he was like, I got you. And now Downey Jr. is like king of the world.
The early 2000s were an interesting time in Hollywood.
So like you couldn't, like Mel Gibson was putting his like name on Downey Jr. and now it's like the other way around. So, and this is also like Val Kilmer, like fresh off the Tombstone era. This was before he started doing the more direct-to-DVD stuff he's doing now, and it's so well written. Michelle Monaghan's adorable and darling in it. It's type of humor that doesn't get portrayed enough. It feels like a dime store novel in all the best ways. It feels like it breaks the fourth wall in a way that's different. Its pacing is fun. The mystery is fun. The action's great. It's Shane Black in the Lethal Weapon strength, but for a modern day. It's brilliant.
Yeah, this was a big blind spot for me. I had not seen this, and going in, before watching this, I'd never really gotten the big RDJ craze. I still haven't watched Chaplin either. So it's like I haven't seen his best movie. So I mean, obviously I don't get it. But at the same time, it's like what I do know of Robert Downey Jr. What I've seen, I'm always like, okay, I see the talent, I see the charisma, I see the delivery. I was like, but is he more than that? And even his portrayal as Iron Man, I think he is very spot on Tony Stark, and I think that's just by a good casting choice. He was just very spot on. So going in, I was like, okay, so like this is one of the ones where people are like, this is Robert Downey Jr. at to quote Hal Rudnick, at the height of his powers. And going in, and then I got it, because like with Shane Black's writing, I loved watching this and kind of seeing the seeds that he was planting that you see pulled off in The Nice Guys.
Yeah, it felt like The Nice Guys was a pseudo sequel for me.
It does. It very much does. Or almost like some like just weird alternate like
a
parallel
spiritual
universe,
sequel. Yeah,
like I kind of like with Linklater with
with Dazed and Confused and Everybody Wants Some. I totally agree.
Yeah, something kind of like that. That's what I kind of feel like with these. And because, like, with Shane Black's writing, it's very on the nose. Like, this comedy isn't trying to, like, they're telling you but also showing you, and that's where you're kind of getting the dynamic. And just Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr. together, who would have thought, you know? Like, who would have thought of those two to work together? And again, it's like you have the same thing with the Nice Guys. You see that come up later with, you know, Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. Just odd pairing, and that's always kind of been a Shane Black-ism.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's also what I kind of find funny is, like, you know, this was his directorial debut after writing for so long, and then when people started, you know, coining the Shane Black-isms that you see pop up, and then you, like, notice all these trends and stuff. So it's very interesting that to, like, kind of see it culminate in that. And yeah, this was the last, like, really, really good Val Kilmer movie.
And I hate to say that,
Gay
like,
Perry, which I love. That's, like, my favorite, like, ongoing bit through the
jokes
movie.
in there, like, still gay. He's like, no, I decided. Like, there's so many great, like,
they're all so great. The scene where, you know, they're tied up with he's like, you're only doing this, you want to look at Johnson. They, like, literally, he's reaching in his pocket. He's like, what, this what you want? And then just start shooting him. I'm like, what?
Like, it was one of the best portrayals of a gay character that was called gay so many times that didn't feel offensive to straight or gay people. Does that make sense? Like, at no point was I like, this is too much. And from all my friends that are gay that have talked about the show, they never felt like it was, like, gratuitous. And it's so much.
No, it wasn't gratuitous, but it was just, I mean, Val Kilmer just sells it, though, too.
So well.
Because without the delivery of those two, like, delivering this dialogue, and I think that's what makes Shane Black writing, like, it's very specific.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Shane Black's writing, if he doesn't have the right actors, it would come off schlocky.
Agreed.
You know, I think it would. But when you get these right people, you know, Ryan Gosling, Russell Crowe, and then, in this case, Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer, they pull it off. And Michelle Monaghan as well. Like, I mean, so it starts with them. So I find that very interesting.
I'm glad you finally. I'm the happiest. This whole experience is you finally seeing Downey Jr. because of the movie that I thought was the most Downey Jr. Like, that makes me really happy.
This is it.
This is the pinnacle.
And then after watching this, I, like, for some reason had this big urge to watch the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yeah, exactly,
I was like,
man.
now I appreciate this a little bit more.
It's the In Bruges of Colin Farrell's career. It's the moment where you're like, he is a genius.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, I see it now. Like, I see, and it makes other things that he does make more sense to me, and I appreciate them more now. Because I'm like, okay, and because, you know, with this style of neo-noir, like, you know, blending of the action comedy, and it's like, really, like, there's a story going on, but it's not really the important thing. Yeah. Is kind of weird with Shane Black writing, because it's like you're more invested in just, like, these random scenarios that the characters are in. Yeah. And then it's like, oh yeah, well, this is also going on. And it's
every
just like
subplot is hilarious.
It's putting everything forward, but it's like you care about all the small things going on.
Like a good dime store novel. Every subplot's important. Every little detail's important. Everything's fun. Like, it's just so tight. And I just don't understand why it's not appreciated more. I feel like it's a cult following, but it's even a small cult following. And to be fair, I saw it in theaters, and I was probably too young to fully appreciate it, but I liked it enough that I've rewatched it since, and now it's one of my favorite. It's probably it's in my top 5 of all time. Actually, funny, Shane Black is the only person that makes my top 5 twice. That and Lethal Weapon are 2 of my top 5 movies ever. But I only saw it because I was obsessed with Shannon Sossaman, and she has that tiny part. Yeah. I literally saw this movie in theaters because it was a new Shannon Sossaman movie, so it's so funny that now Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer are like 2 of my favorite actors, period. But I saw this movie in theaters because, like, the girl from A Knight's Tale had my heart. I love her.
I just needed
even 5 minutes of Shannon Sossaman.
And then you're just like, I got everything. And
it's everything I wanted in one, and now it's one of my faves. It's a near perfect movie. So if you haven't seen it, audience,
it's a fun one. Like, for some reason, I think a reason it was a blind spot for me, and I just never got around to watching it, was for some reason I thought it was, like, more serious than it is.
I can see
that.
It's
not, like, at all. It's so funny and fun, and just, like, the score behind it, the John Ottman score behind it is just, like, so. And it was like, why? I was like, why did I avoid this? I find myself wanting to rewatch it already. I'm just like, man, I want to watch that again.
And it's LA-tastic. It's also like one of those, like, as Shane Black writes LA really well. Like, whenever I'm at the Standard, I think of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Like, it's got locations that are like real LA, not movie LA. Yeah,
and you want to talk about not getting love, so it's like I watched the movie, and then I want to, do a little extra research and stuff to, just have some other talking points. there's like on YouTube, there's no like in-depth like videos about it or anything. Like,
no love.
You know, everybody's doing the video essays and the in-depth reviews. There's none for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Like none.
I'm bringing it to the forefront, guys.
So,
I am a one-man army. I'm gonna make. I'll be the guy that brings Shane Black into your heart and into your home. Because Lethal Weapon is also... I just did... Do you know Mothership at Nerdist? They have that...
Yeah.
So they asked the 4th of July binge watching what you'd recommend, and I said all 4 Lethal Weapons, all of the Lethal Weapon show, and I literally ranted about Lethal Weapon for 20 minutes. It is my mission to... I think he's the Aaron Sorkin of film, and he doesn't get Aaron Sorkin love.
I was going to say, you can look at it as... You know, with his writing and then Aaron Sorkin kind of way, because I did kind of think about that, because like his writing does have like that distinct voice, that identity, yeah, but the pop, like the pacing of it, not quite to Sorkin's level, I will say. Like, I mean, I rewatched The Social Network like a month ago, and that shit is mesmerizing. Yeah, but you could also look at like the way that this movie is, like with the tone and its comedy and the violence, you know, like a Tarantino as well. And it's like he doesn't get nearly, you know, the appraisal that Quentin Tarantino does for similar things that he does. I mean, not trying to compare Shane Black to Quentin Tarantino. I mean,
well, my parallel would be like I'd say that Aaron Sorkin is like a David Mamet in that he's punctual, he's got beats, he's got hits, everything is structured, and this is high praise, and I'm gonna get flack, but I think that Shane Black's like a Shakespeare in that he's got overarching structure and he's got innuendo and he's got comedy that's unique and he's got this flow. And David Mamet and Shakespeare are both brilliant, but they're both different, but they're both similar. Like they've got, there's a Venn diagram there, and I think Shane and Sorkin have that Venn diagram as well.
Yeah, I think so. And like when you say there's like this flow to it, that it like the scene where they meet the guy and then they're walking and he's got the gun to his back, and then they're like having this conversation. They're having a conversation with him, Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer are having a conversation, and like they're having this conversation, everything's happening, they swap the guns, and then like the whole situation is turned around, but all these things are happening and it never stops, like it never skips a beat. Like it's like
a dance, man.
Yeah, it really is. And I didn't appreciate that enough in The Nice Guys either. Like it's like now I want to rewatch The Nice Guys, because like I remember watching The Nice Guys, and it's like I couldn't catch on to onto the beat at first, like, and then once the movie got going, like after like 30 minutes or so, then I was like,
that rhythm is in your head. Well, like Sorkin writes like a gunfight, and I think Shane Black writes like a dance. I think there's like a brat, 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 like, you know, like Sorkin's like a Tech 9, and whereas like I think Shane Black's got like an Eminem flow. Like you've got different levels, you got different flavors, you got different. So I think that different writers establishing their tone early in their career really shapes where they're going. And if you watch West Wing and some of that, you see a lot of that Newsroom. And if you watch Lethal Weapon, you see a lot of that in... And I love that we have such distinct writers working now. We're living in this golden age of writers in TV film. And Predator's going to be amazing if it's anything like...
I think... Oh, yeah. Predator I am super excited about now. I mean... but that's fantastic. I think you comparing Shane Black's writing to Eminem's rapping is one of the best comparisons we've had on the show. So I appreciate that so much. So, and, you know, to kind of spin off of that, you know, when we're talking about the structure and the flow, and like, you know, you said Shane, like, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is very tight. Like, it's a minute... crisp hour 40 minutes of, I mean, it's very tight and concise. And then so to like kind of transition into the film that I chose, you know, a different, on the other end of neo-noir, like the less humorous side, went with The Place Beyond the Pines, another movie that I went into not knowing what it was. And this movie is this 2.5 hour just like epic odyssey taking you through like a generation and a half of like this. It's crazy. And
are we talking spoilers?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We spoil everything.
Just want to make sure
on this show. So yeah, spoiler for a 5-year-old movie. It's on Netflix though. So
we were careful with Kiss Kiss. We there was no spoilers there really.
No,
we danced nicely. Really.
Like I mean, I don't set out to spoil movies, but I literally tell people, I'm like, now that the movies get spoiled.
I want to make sure because Place has some spoilers.
Place does have some spoilers, so it's like Place Beyond the Pines goes a little bit more to the classic noir style, you know. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was very much a more modern neo-noir, but it's like Place Beyond the Pines, even though it is a modern setting a little bit, it has more of that like old school noir, like almost like a western vibe to it in the way the story's told, with the 3 phases of the film, if you will, like the reel with the 3-act system. When's the first time you saw this movie?
I saw Place Beyond the I am a crazy person. I saw Place Beyond the Pines 3 times in theaters. I saw it in theaters and then didn't leave the theater, bought another ticket, watched it again. So I saw it twice, and then 2 weeks later I saw it again. Place Beyond the Pines was my favorite movie from that year, and it inspired one of my favorite scripts I've ever written. So I really love that you picked it because it is a huge piece of my cinematic brain.
Ooh, I love it. Very fitting. I was in a dark place. I was going through a breakup. I was watching lots of movies.
You were in the Place Beyond the Pines.
I was in the literal Place Beyond the Pines. So I'm watching lots of movies, and then I had a week where I was this was where I watched Drive for the first time. So I got into all the other Ryan Gosling movies I hadn't seen. And then, but then, literally the movie that I watched on the day of this breakup, I watched Blue Valentine. Derek Cianfrance's other film.
Every breakup, I watch Blue Valentine and Like Crazy back to back because I'm a masochist.
Is a really good one. I watched Like Crazy after.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
away.
I love that you do the same thing I do. Blue Valentine and Like Crazy are my heartbreak, searing pain movies.
And I was just like, no, I watched it for the first time. This was before the breakup. You could say this resulted in the breakup. This is debated Deezus lore here. But yeah, so I watched Blue Valentine, and then, like I said, I'm still in Ryan Gosling sad mode, and then I stumbled across Place Beyond the Pines, and I was like, man, I remember the movie it came out, and I remember hearing what came out, and the way it was marketed was kind of weird, and it does not market for what this movie is, this almost anthology epic, and I watched it, and then I watched it literally the same day. I watched it again, and it was just, oh man, the way the story is told and the way everything loops and connects and interweaves, and the transitions are so seamless.
It's a tapestry. It's art.
Yeah, so it's you got this first vignette with Ryan Gosling. He's inherently a good guy with a good heart. He's just trying to do what he thinks he has to do to take care of people. And then he gets into the fast style of robbing some banks, and shit goes wrong because this is noir, and that's what happens. Things go wrong. And so you get that with him, and you got Ben Mendelsohn, and you got Eva Mendes. Ben Mendelsohn with the line, if you ride like...
Oh, if you ride like lightning, you're going to crash like thunder.
And, oh, man. And so,
underrated Ben Mendelsohn, by the way. I think he's incredibly underrated. I know he's in Star Wars. Doesn't mean he's not underrated. That dude's a powerhouse.
Yeah. I didn't like Rogue One all that much, but he was probably my favorite part of Rogue One. But, yeah, very underrated. But then, so, spoilers, like we said, going into this movie, I thought this was a Ryan Gosling movie because I was doing Ryan Gosling. Bam, shot.
That was the spoiler. I was like, are we going to say it?
Ryan Gosling shot dead in the first 40 minutes of the movie. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, okay, so now what are we going to do? And then the way they connected with Bradley Cooper, bam. And now you go on to this next vignette. And I was like, holy shit, that was cool.
I'd never seen that before.
I had never seen something like that before.
I've seen 100,000 movies. I've never seen that before.
Yes, I was blown away. I was like, that was so cool. And then it just, kept going. And then you see, and then the tone of the movie shifts. It's still got the noir feel, but it's like the whole thing shifts onto, now he's going through this morality stuff going on. Ray Liotta is doing things, I suppose. Ray Liotta is not my favorite part of that movie.
Poor Ray Liotta. I feel like you just described Ray Liotta's career. Ray Liotta's doing things like he's such a good actor
at
when
that
they let
time,
him.
That's
but
what
when
he
they
was
don't
doing.
let him, he's just Ray Liotta.
I think they just see. I think Derek Cianfrance. I mean, he's a small director. I think he just lucked into having him and said, "Yeah, sure, Ray, do whatever you gotta do." And then Ray's like, "I am here for 5 days. This is what I'm doing."
He's such a powerhouse actor that he gets stunt casted as Ray Liotta so much, and I feel like it's a gift and a curse in this movie.
And yeah, it really is because he does do what he's gotta do. He's nice and scummy and makes things terrible for Bradley Cooper's character, and it's like, God damn it, Ray Liotta, you did it again.
Everyone else is so good that Ray Liotta sleepwalking is just, you see it. Even
yes, I think that is a very good point. Because
everyone
Bradley
else
Cooper is very good in this movie.
Even with that hair,
very good. Yeah, that hair is it's not great.
It's choice.
It's choice. I think that was right before. That was right. He must have been doing that right around the A-Team time because he had real long hair in the A-Team. That must have been around the same time or something.
The amazing thing. So if you haven't seen Place Beyond the Pines, this is my trailer for you. Bradley Cooper at the height of his powers. Ryan Gosling not playing Ryan Gosling, killing it. Dane DeHaan, pre-Amazing Spider-Man, post-Chronicle. Watch it knowing nothing else and don't expect anything except The Godfather, and you'll enjoy it.
I think
that's the trailer they needed.
That is the trailer they needed. So you mentioned Dane DeHaan, so it transitioned to into the third act, and then they jump forward it's like 9 years.
Yeah.
And Bradley Cooper is now a congressman, governor?
Yeah, he's in public office.
Yeah, something. So you got that going on. Now you're seeing the aftermath with their kids. You find out about Ryan Gosling's character eventually had a son. And then it's just like, what?
And the kid from Brooklyn have you seen Brooklyn?
Yeah, that's Emery Cohen.
Yeah, he is so good in this.
He is very good in this. And this is where the dividing line seems to be with this movie is the third act. And I still like it because it switches the entire tone because each act has its own they're almost I'd say they're almost like 3 Black Mirror episodes smushed together.
I like that. Yeah.
Something like that maybe. And I think it fits perfectly because then it's you kind of see, even though the kids don't know about each other's fathers and about the past, the fact that life still just has a way of keeping them intertwined.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really stood out to me about Place Beyond the Pines, all the connections and the way they interwove it, And I think, like I said, it's very reminiscent of some early, real early noir. So it's kind of a real cool contrast between that and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because Shane Black took the same elements, and twisted into his own Shane Blackisms versus Derek Cianfrance kind of paid homage to the classic style, but then also doing something really, really cool with it.
I'm going to go comic parallel for my specific audience. Place Beyond the Pines is the John Romita Sr. era Spider-Man, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is Ultimate Spider-Man. So it's using elements of the classic John Romita Sr. in a modernized way while still paying homage to it, whereas Place Beyond the Pines is the classic in that it feels like a classic piece of filmmaking even when it's new. That's how I'd play those two.
I would definitely agree. They're just 2 really, really good movies, and I never really got into noir. Mainly, I when people describe genre, it's how do you describe film noir? It's a weird thing, but it's once I got into, I started off getting into more sci-fi noir, and then I started transitioning to
Have you seen The Game?
The Game? No.
The Game is my noir recommendation for you and your listeners. The Game is early David Fincher, underrated David Fincher, pre-Fight Club. I want to say post 7 in between those two. It might be around the same time. Anyway, it's really good Michael Douglas, Sean Penn. It's Sean Penn acting his eyeballs out. And it's a noir.
He's the bad guy in that one, right?
You'll see. It's a noir.
Okay.
It's a really intense mystery noir.
It's based on the short story, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's real good, man. The game's great.
I love the short story, so now that really intrigues me because now I know exactly which movie you're talking about.
It's fun. It's a really good time, and it's a David Fincher that weirdly nobody talks about.
Yeah,
I guess that's my mission is to bring up movies people don't talk about.
No, that's what I love. I mean, I don't know, whenever you saw the list of movies that people picked. I mean, we've had such a weird array of movies that we've talked about, and that's what I love to do on this podcast. Like you said, definitely bring people movies that they would otherwise not see.
Yeah.
Don't skip. Don't go out and see The Last Night. Skip
Transformers 87 and see some good cinema.
Yeah, stay in and watch one of these. So to go ahead and close out the show, we do a little story time segment usually, but we're switching it up a little bit because Coy is a writer himself and he's a big comic book guy. So story time, I want to tell a story in your life that could be a noir story, could be a noir comic or a noir movie.
Let's see. So
you've been in LA for longer than me, so I'm sure you got some good stuff.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go with my coming into LA story because I feel like everyone has a good coming to LA story. But if you make it a noir, so I moved to LA after working on a movie in Boston, and I had reached the end of my limits in Boston. They flew in extras to work on this movie, and I was like, oh, they don't trust us to be extras? Maybe I should leave. So I came to Boston, and I came to LA, and I literally had a washer and dryer box flown out, and that was everything I owned. I shipped out 2 boxes, and I knew no one here. I moved in with the kid I had met for an hour on a set in Boston. He was going to college out here. I was alone in Los Angeles. So I want you to picture a young 21-year-old Coy Jandreau wandering the valley. I was Deep Valley, wandering Reseda Boulevard, leather jacket, backpack, walking Reseda, knowing no one. I literally hadn't met a person in LA except this person that I was living on the couch of for an hour. So I was on a couch with a box, with a backpack, wandering the streets for 6 months without any job, without any prospects, without any hope. And I would just wander into casting offices. I knew so little about the industry. I was that guy that literally printed out 200 headshots and resumes and blind mailed them to everyone.
Where did you stash your boxes?
This poor kid's living room, man. It was his whole living room because he was living in a studio apartment in Reseda. So like the entire living room was like me huddled over a box like Smeagol. It was horrendous. And just imagine like a single lamp, 200 headshots and resumes, constantly stapling, constantly going on backstage and finding addresses, and spending all my money on stamps and blind mailings, going to casting workshops, meeting the sketchiest. I literally like propositioning for porn is not unheard of in the Valley back pre-condom law days, and it's like terrifying up there. If you've never been to LA, go hang out in like Northridge, North Hills, Reseda, Tarzana, and you'll see some scum and villainy, man. Like it was the Cantina bar every night, and for 6 months I didn't like. It was the Bruce Banner walking down the street music every single day. I was just the saddest little boy. Hollywood's an intense place, and Boogie Nights is real life. So it's I recommend everyone come to LA and check it out, but try to know someone so you're not alone in the streets.
Whew, man, that is intense. See, that's why, me and Tyler, we're trying to move out here together.
Good.
We're moving out here around the same time. Me and Tyler, we've been best friends for 8 years. We're going to hopefully keep each other sane. But I almost came out here by myself early whenever I thought I had a job opportunity. So I almost came out here a little bit early, but then I didn't. So I was like, I'll save some more money. So... coming to LA stories are the best. I feel like everybody's best stories out in LA are either they're coming to LA stories or they're meeting Jeff Goldblum stories.
Oh, that magic
I'm
magic
holding
man.
out.
Magic
Have you met
man.
him?
I've met him at his jazz club, and he looks at you like he's known you for years, and then you feel better for it. He's so cool, he makes you feel better.
I need that. That's been my goal. I'm like, I need to find Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, I get it.
I do.
I get it, man.
Him. I need to go to that jazz club. I don't know, something.
There's a reason he's like an elder in the Thor universe, because he makes you feel like a god.
Oh, man. I can't wait. So, those are definitely the most two popular LA stories.
Coming to LA, Jeff Goldblum.
Yep, pretty much. So, I don't have either of those stories yet. So, but tracing back, this is a few months ago. So, the past few months is where I've really started gaining traction in doing this, hitting the pavement, grinding, trying to do all these appearances, things of all that nature. And so it's very noir because I'll tell the whole story. I've told parts of this story before, but so I got on my first film festival about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. But the way it happened was very, it sounds very LA. I'm like, this is the most LA thing I've done. So I hear about this movie festival. And it is about 5 weeks out. Like, it's about 5 weeks out. And I was like, shit. I was like, I wonder if I can still get in on this. It was the Overlook Film Festival.
Oh, cool.
And this was the first one, too. So I was like, it was a horror festival genre. I saw all the stuff that was going on. I was like, I need to get to this festival. So one night, I am super stoned or drunk. One of the two. I don't know. I stumble. I'm going through the website. I'm combing through. Finally find some email addresses. I'm like, yes. I was like, I've learned the power of email around here is crazy. It's like having a superpower if you can write a good email, like for real. I don't know. I kind of get this like weird therapeutic sensation whenever I write like professional emails now. They used to scare me, but I
get that.
But so I'm typing out this email. I just say, hey, I was like, I'm an independent podcaster and writer and stuff. I was like, I just want to come out to this festival. I'd love to be able to do it. I was like, I'm independent, so I'm not representing anywhere. And I was like, so I know I probably won't get a press accreditation. I was like, but I CC'd it to the jobs department as well. I was like, I can do all these things. I got these skills. I was like, I know it's your guys' first year. You might need some new people. And just sent it out there. Sent it out with some headshots and stuff and some like samples of like stuff I've worked on. And that was that. And I was like, I even tweeted, I was like, there's about a 10% chance of this working. We'll see what happens. Fast forward 3 weeks later, I get an email in my inbox from the festival people. It is 12 days to the festival. Mind you, I had just purchased my plane ticket for this trip that I'm currently on. So I had just spent all this money on this trip. And then I get an email 12 days before the festival. Hey, we saw your email, and our events team for the after parties, we need somebody to help run some sound. We got a spot on a team. He's like, during the day, you get to go watch your movies, do your podcast stuff. He's like, and then at night, you do your work. He's like, all you got to do is get here. And I was like, yep, I'll be there. Man, to scrounge up money for another plane ticket, I mean, I sold some clothes. I sold a spare microphone that I had. Like, I mean, I was like, I am getting to this festival. Scrounged up like a $20 to get a shitty Frontier flight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Frontier, the noir airline.
It's very noir because, I mean, getting to the airline was one thing. So my car is not very good. So I was gonna take the bus to a station to take a bus to the plane station in Kansas City. And did I say plane station?
You did, but I
said plane station.
You're feeling noir vibes. I got you.
Yeah, very noir vibes. And then so we have a stop in Joplin. It's a little town in Missouri. We have a stop. There is no station there. There is no windows. There is a room that has a heater. It has about 6 people sleeping on their suitcases in the corner. And I'm just like, I'm trying to edit a podcast episode because we have like an hour to spare. So I'm just like trying to like look distracted so nobody talks to me. That doesn't work. Some chick that was on the bus gets kicked out of the gas station that's linked to the station. So then they're like, no, y'all need to go. And we're like, the bus is running late. Makes me almost late for the plane. But then, luckily, made it out to Oregon, nice and safe, had a good festival. And, and now I'm alive.
So both of our noirs have happy endings. You made it to the festival. I'm still in LA. I didn't die.
As dark as noir stories are, they usually do have a pretty nice
little
ending.
button. Neither of ours had mysteries, so we got to work on our lives having more mystery.
Yeah, there wasn't any mystery really, but I mean, there's all sorts of shenanigans.
I mean, there's shenanigans, so I'm just saying, like,
that's the staple of noir is the shenanigans.
Yes, agreed. We had shenanigans. We'll work on the mysteries for the future, for the sequel to this podcast.
Yes, for sure. But speaking of which, for the sequel, I would love to have you again. So thank you so much for coming on, man. This was a blast talking some good old nerdy comic stuff. We talked some noir stuff. It has been a good time. Coy, where can the good people find you?
You can find me at CoyJandreau on Twitter and Instagram. And I love the internet. I love talking to people, and I want to do this more. So by all means, it's been an absolute pleasure. Noir and telling people about movies that are not loved enough is my jam. So this was a fun format for that. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. Make sure you guys check him out. He does the instant reviews. These are minute reviews of anything pop culture because if you know him for movie fights, the dude talks really, really fast. Like, really, really fast.
I thought I'd utilize that weird specific skill to get content out.
It is a very specific skill, but it's perfect. It's like people want, as much as I want to watch 7-minute videos all the time, you don't always got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. We're in L.A.
True.
Time is money around here. Like, geez Louise.
You could be in line waiting for coffee and then know everything there is about a thing in this 1-minute review. That's the goal.
Yeah, so definitely check them out. Good Twitter follow, guys, and check them out on Movie Fights and all other Screen Junkies stuff, Marvel Moon News, all that good jazz, guys. And, of course, you can always find me on Twitter as well at Deezus12. That's where I'm doing all my damage. Look out for my articles for geeksandgamers.com. I'm writing some more reviews and think pieces and good stuff over there, so make sure you're checking that out. And then also check me out over on Court Temp Arts Podcast Network. I host some recaps on TV8 My Brain, and I have a new podcast coming to you pretty soon. So make sure you're checking that out. But the biggest thing, guys, tell your friends about Deezus Take the Reel. Spread the dope word. Let's have some fun. Let's be friends. Let's talk movies. Until next time, peace out, motherfuckers. Thank you so much for listening to Deezus Take the Reel, the dopest movie talk show on the internet. You can find me every Tuesday on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play Music, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. If you like what you're listening to, write a 5-star iTunes review, and I'll read it on the Deez and T Money Show, which is every other Friday. And of course, spread this with ya homies. Last but not least, stay till the end for a little pre-recording something. Peace out, motherfuckers. Let's get some levels for you. Tell me your craziest barista story, since we're talking about aggressive baristas.
I came in here once and I felt like I had not only like insulted the dude's mother, but I had somehow like put a curse in his entire family in order to order a drink that was on the menu with no customization. And I thought, hey, that's literally your job. It's the one. I do my job, you do your job. What is this aggression? And he proceeded to mean mug me the entire time I was in here because I ordered like a mint shake that was on the menu. Like a fool. Like a goddamn fool.
How dare you?
Who do I think I am?
Come in here and expect me to work.
Do my job. Off the menu.
You give me money.
It was, yeah, man. Every time, literally 7 years I come to this place, maybe 8, and it's just aggression.